Good morning, February 17th, and the snow is melting. It's great. Lots of big icicles on my house, but I'm getting ready for a scrap run. As you can see here, I got all my copper riding next to me today. The brass, big wire bucket, and there's also stainless steel down there. In the back of the truck, I got some aluminum and some motors and other little cast iron pieces and other aluminum. And then all the shred steel. So it should be a really great load today. Hopefully I'll get at least a couple $100 from this. Alright, ready to unload all this stuff. And I can tell my truck's really heavy right now. Look how close it is to the ground. It's probably like... look at that, it's like... less than 6 inches riding from the ground. That's crazy. Alright. Get her all unloaded. Well, I gotta take all this stuff out of the way first so it doesn't start crashing on me. I'm doing the shred steel first. That way I'll have more room move around. And it's aluminum, and the motor, we'll throw that out. February 19th. It is Sunday. It's a gorgeous day out here today. So I'm outside working and getting a few things done. And my internet is really bad today, so I can't really do too much with the internet. So I just thought I'd come outside and tinker with a few things out here. I realized I didn't show you guys what I made at the scrapyard on Friday, so I'll add it now. And that's what I got there. It's aluminum, $3, brass, $50, copper 2 bucket was $104, number 2 insulated bucket, that was $40, and a lot of other smaller stuff. My shred steel was 1,080 pounds for $58.78. Grand total $278. Not too bad. My wife got a computer from my bin the other day. She just picked that up and brought it home. Nothing special here. You know, it's very dusty, guy. You know, these things have so much dust in them that you gotta take it apart outside. Otherwise, you're gonna just pollute your space inside your house with this sort of stuff. But this thing just had a bunch of these PCI cards and some RAM and CPU that I've already taken out. So I'm just going to be taking apart some other stuff and I just have that one furnace, but other than that, I don't really have too much else out here. I gotta start getting some more stuff. Got my cat thing here that I'm going to clean up a bit, and I'm going to clean that off and take a picture of it and post it on Kijiji and try and sell it. See how much I can get for that. Couple other small things in here, you know, to do, but really not too much. Yeah, this thing just got a little bit wet, so I'm just going to dry it out in the sunshine, and it looks like it's a hit. Hey, do you like that? Oh, I think so. Okay, I just finished cleaning this guy up. I took the shop vac out and I just sucked up all the loose cat hair and other dirt that I could get at. This thing is, yeah, it's not as lucrative as I thought it was. Previously, when my other video, you may have seen that I found it on garbage day. I brought it home and I was like, oh man, you know, this thing is probably worth like $500 brand new. Nope. You know, you could probably get something like this. I just looked it up, did a little bit, like 5 minutes of research, and you know, you probably get one of these in the store for about $150 for something this size. So I just listed it for $50. You know, would I pick it up again if I saw this on the road? It just all depends on, you know, how thirsty you are, how badly you want some money, right? Like $50, if I get 50 from it, that's fine. But the only problem is something this big, you know, you gotta store it, so you have to find somewhere dry and safe. So I'm just gonna be putting it in my shed right now, which is not very good. I don't have very much room in there right now. So, you know, would I find it again? Maybe I would just get it and then bring it to a thrift shop or something, just to avoid it getting thrown into the garbage. But never afraid to try new things that I don't know too much about, and things that you know, take a chance. So it's not like I'm spending any money. I only spent like 10 minutes with a shop vac cleaning it off. If it sells for 50, there we go, $50. So we'll see how that goes. Just taking apart this computer. So far I've gotten 1, 2, 3, 4 PCI cards out of this guy. Big chunk of aluminum. You can sell these as PCI cards, or you can take the gold trims off there and sell those. You get a lot more money for selling just the gold fingers, as opposed to selling the whole card by itself. But once you break the gold things off of the PCI cards, the rest of it becomes a very like low grade circuit board. You don't get very much money for it. So I'm still on the fence on what to actually do with this sort of stuff. You know, I'm still trying to figure out the best way to go about it. But I'm kind of leaning towards actually breaking off of the gold fingers and keeping those in a bin and trying to sell those, because you get a lot more money for it, and the rest you sell as low grade. Just taking apart the rest of this computer, and sometimes, you know, you get these things where it's still attached to this metal backing plate. This one in particular, see, you have to there's like some plastic tabs here that you have to pop out, and then you can get the board off of it. So what I do is I just take, you want to take this big chunk of aluminum off, and you got to take the battery off, and then this plastic around the CPU that houses the heat sink, you want to take that off as well. And then once you get that off, here I would just for the battery backup, or sorry, not battery backup, the power supply. What I do is I just cut the wires off right there. So this if the wires were up here, I would just use my saw, but I can't really use my saw. So I just get a pair of clippers and clip it all off there. So you can see this is a bit of a, it can be, you just want to do like 2 or 3 at a time. Otherwise, if you get too much in your snips, it will just be really difficult to do. Almost done. There. Okay. There we have it. All done. These guys, the drives, you know, you can take those apart. There's a circuit board in there if you want. And a lot of people on my channel have been telling me I should start collecting the floppies, the floppy disk drives. Well, look at that, you know. Ugh. It's easily, for me out here, I just have my my air compressor, So what I think I'll do is I'll just hook that up and blow it all out. Right, so I got my air hose all hooked up here to my air compressor. And this is just a simple thing. You just go like that, shoots out compressed air. And you can just clean all this stuff off, get all this dust off of it. See how nasty that is. That's just all like household pets and people's dead skin, and you don't want to breathe that sort of stuff in. Yeah, that's good. So I'm going to try and save these up and make a lot of floppy drives and try and sell them. So this stuff is like, as far as I know, no companies are using these or manufacturing these things anymore. So when that happens, you know, they become more and more rare, and the price starts to go up. I'm kind of finding that with VCRs right now too, is that even though it's an obsolete technology, people are still using them. There's still a demand for it. So this is the same kind of thing. So I'm going to start saving these guys. Pretty much done with this computer now. There was just a little board that was right there that I took off as well. It was just this little guy. And it's a little bit dirty, so I'm going to dust them off too. Yeah, just like that. But yeah, you can see how dirty and dusty this stuff gets. So I'm just going to take the wire out and close it back up. And we're just going to send it into my shred pile. Alright, I'm all done with that computer. It was pretty easy and fast to get through all of it. It's just a couple pieces of aluminum and the PCI cards and the motherboard. So so that piece is gone now. You want to take that off. There's the battery. I just keep these in a little container, and I'll eventually recycle all these, bring them to a household hazardous waste drop-off depot. There are some that are silver, and you want to make sure that if you want to collect them, there's reference guides online that you can find silver oxide batteries, little silver oxide button batteries. They do have a better scrap value than just your regular like alkaline button batteries. That's a whole different subject. I won't get into it right now, but just to let you know that there are silver oxide batteries do have a scrap value, and there's a whole bunch of resources online if you're ever interested in looking into that. And the other thing that has some scrap value, like these fans, these are scrapyards will take these as like a dirty motor. So I just dropped these into my copper bearing motor pile, or a copper bearing bucket. And then, yep, just a little fistful of wire. So that was that from that computer. I really like computers. They're easy to disassemble and take apart. And often I will test if I can. If it's a complete computer, I'll test it out and see if it can be sold for parts. But this computer here didn't come with a hard drive. So if you don't have the hard drive, it's impossible to try and test all this stuff out. Like, I'm sure you could try, but it's not worth my time, especially for this older stuff. You know, if this was a complete motherboard with CPU and everything, I might try and sell something like this for, like, you know, not very much, maybe like $30, $30, maybe $40. It depends. You know, check out, just reference it to other things that I've sold on eBay. So yeah, so that's that. I'm going to keep on going. I'm going to try and find some other things to do out here. Alright, doing a few other things out here, kind of housekeeping type stuff for me that I do to resell some stuff. Just taking the air hose and blowing off some of this dust, cleaning up some of these parts. I had a YouTuber comment on one of my videos saying that I should be looking into the motors on the top of the hot water tanks. These are the power vent motors, and I have sold them in the past. I actually sold one this weekend, but I kind of neglected them, and I just wanted to say thank you to that guy for reminding me about these, because they do have some resale value. Now you can see these guys are pretty dirty. They still spin very well. So I'm going to take the duster and just blow the air hose and dust them all off. See there, it's really does a good job of getting all the dust off. There's really no other comparison to clean these things off except with an air hose. Oh, get all of my Dr. Pepper. Bleh. So yeah, you just want to make sure you get all in there. Just get the air right in there and all inside these cracks and everything. Just get all that dust out as much as you can. Alright, we'll move on to this side now. Makes it spin so fast. Alright, I might do a little bit more later, but I just wanted to show you one other thing that I'm doing. So these are, I brought this motherboard out a while ago. Sorry, the air compressor's loud. I brought out this motherboard a while ago. So again, I've tested this fully. It's fully working. It has some good resale value, so I'm going to dust it off. So you can see here, you know, it has like some dust here. The dust really collects around the CPU and the heatsink. So you want to get your duster and your air in there and just clean it all off. These things too have a resale value. I don't usually do it. I don't usually list these things because it's pretty low. But if you're looking for ideas, you could collect these and put them in as a lot, you know, and get more that way, rather than sell them individually. But yeah, the other thing that I got from that computer is the power supply here, and it's again, it's working really nice. It's a bigger one. It's newer. Has lots of different connections, so it will be more sought after. Usually I have the more common ones, more outdated ones, I sell for about $25. Hopefully I can sell this one for a bit more. So to clean these, just the same thing is what I do is I just get the air hose, and you just want to get it in all the little crevices that you can. If you look down in there, you'll see dust on all the aluminum and all the wiring. You just want to make sure you get all in there and clean it out. Good. One last thing I'll say about computers, if you're reselling, is that before you disconnect the whole thing and take it out of your computer and part it out, you want to make sure you just write down a whole bunch of information about it. So I wrote this stuff down a couple months ago on a piece of paper. You know, like the most important is the CPU, and you can see the CPU by pressing like F12 during your boot up, and you'll bring it to your boot screen, and you can see what kind of hardware it all has. So because otherwise, you know, just by having this motherboard here, you can't tell what kind of CPU is in there. And I don't want to have to unclip it all and, you know, scrape off all the contact cement that's on the CPU just to tell me what's underneath there. So you want to make sure you write it all down, piece of paper, and I just have like some other serial numbers and stuff on there. The only other thing I want to mention about this kind of stuff is that sometimes you'll get it from a house that's like a smoker's house. In that case, you definitely want to disclose if your stuff smells like cigarette smoke. People hate that. Never had it happen to me because I always make sure I write it down, or put that on the listing rather, that the stuff I have may smell like cigarette smoke. So you just want to keep that in mind, just so keep your customers happy and make sure that they don't have any surprises when they get their stuff. Okay, I brought out some more stuff from my shed that I'll be working on right now. These are some flat screen TVs. I got these at my recycling drop-off bin, my scrap metal e-waste bin that I have in town. And people will drop these off because they're not working and or not wanted anymore. But they have actually dropped off good working TVs at my bin before. I can remember a couple times I've gotten a TV, you know, of this size, and I could not for the life of me find out anything wrong with the TV. And I would test it, you know, I bring it downstairs, I would plug it in, plug a DVD player in, I would press all the buttons on the side here, you know, the power on, off, volumes, channels, all that sort of stuff, and I would just do a full test. I could not find anything wrong with it, and so I would just end up selling it on Kijiji. But more 90% of the time, there's something wrong with these guys. So I like to hang on to these. I don't like to just throw them in with the rest of my e-waste. I like to at least test them out and find out what's wrong. And the best case scenario that I like is when I get a TV and it has a broken screen. Because that tells me they threw out the TV because the screen broke, you know, it got hit or something. So you'll turn it on, and it'll just be like a big crack or something that you'll see, or there'll be a bunch of lines in the picture that will show that it's not a good picture anymore. Most often that means that the power supply board is good, and there's a couple other boards in there that are good. And what's happened is that the actual screen has gone bad. Now these boards in here can fetch you quite a bit of money depending on the TV. Like this Samsung, for example, is a good name. Well, it's a name brand. Let's just put it that way. So yeah, they can. People will want to fix their TVs, and so an easy fix for the average person is just swapping out the circuit boards. But TVs like this guy, these are more like, I've never heard of this name before, Emerson. But I'll still take a look at it and see what's wrong and see if you can salvage anything out of these guys. So unlike their predecessors, the big CRTs, these guys are current and have some resale value in their parts. An often overlooked part that I like to sell are the stands, and I find TVs barely ever have any part numbers on them. So what you want to do is make sure you copy down the model number on the back, and then just reference that to the stand. And see, so this guy has a stand as well. This little flimsy RCA. So yeah, what I do is I just put them on the back of my pickup truck here, and I just start plugging this stuff in. I usually just keep a bunch of these different power cables in my shed that I can use to power it up, and I just see what happens, and I troubleshoot it and go from there. I plugged in this Samsung. I'll go over my initial thoughts. You know, I'm not a technician or anything, so don't take my advice on this sort of stuff. But for me, what I'm thinking with this Samsung, see, there's a little red light on here, but it doesn't power on at all. Nothing's happening. Now with that, there's not too much I'm going to do with this. you know, I've been down this road before where I get something like this, and I turn it over, I flip it over, I try to find something that's wrong, and it's just a big waste of time for me because I'm not into troubleshooting this sort of stuff. You know, I don't really. There could be so many different things that go wrong. If it's not powering on, and more than likely it's a power supply problem, and you flip it over. And what you'll see on the power supply is sometimes the capacitors will go bad. Like there's the round caps the capacitors will have like a little round bulge at the top of it. And you can easily swap those out and get new parts. Or like a little transformer might have a burn mark or something. So yeah, that being said, I have actually repaired power supplies from these TVs before. One time I swapped out a transformer from the circuit board. I just bought it from China, and it was like $3, free shipping, sort of deal off eBay. And I just got a new transformer, and I soldered the new one back onto the power supply, and it worked. And I sold the power supply for must have been like $75 or so. So yeah, it can be done. For me, I don't think I'm just gonna, I got so many other things I want to do. It's just not worth my time to go through this kind of stuff piece by piece. So I'm just gonna keep moving on with this. Probably just gonna throw the whole thing in with my e-waste, unfortunately. And but I'll test out these two other guys and see what happens with them. So I told myself I would not open this thing, but I was just my curiosity got the better of me, so I opened it up. And it's just a whole bunch of screws that you gotta zip off with your zip gun. And so it's just I was curious about what happened with this guy. So, I was talking about blown capacitors, and you see this guy right here. See how it's, the top of it is blown up a little bit, and there's some stuff coming out of them. And this one here too, I think it's a little bit blown up. Now, see, even if you do go ahead and you change those out, that may not solve your problem. It may be something else on this board. So this is the main power supply board. And so, yeah, if it was working, I would definitely take this guy out, but it's not. So it's just, doesn't have any value with me other than scrap value. Yeah, so as far as scrap value goes, I mean, you got some pieces of aluminum and some copper-bearing motors, transformers, stuff like that. Yeah, it's not really where I'm not going to really bother with it too much. But underneath here, you have another board. It's the main circuit board for the all the different ports and whatnot. It's just that I can't really test it, so. It's a bit of a gamble if you try to sell something without testing it. So far, I've just been plugging this guy in, this Emerson TV. So far, I can't see anything wrong with it. You won't be able to tell, but it is powered on with the glare. Seems to be working fine. But so I just did a quick search on the boards. There are quite a few boards that sell on eBay, and this is the base, and the base has sold on eBay for about $35, so that's good. I'm going to try and sell that, and it's always a good idea to keep the screws for when you go to resell it, so you can sell it with the screws. That was that other smaller RCA TV. I'm going to try and sell that guy too, probably like $20 maybe. Yeah, this guy seems to be working out just fine. I don't really know what's wrong with it yet. Alright, it is Sunday. It's 11 p.m. It's pretty late in the evening, so I'm going to go over everything that I sold over the weekend so far. So this is Friday, Saturday, and Sunday sales. Start off over here. This guy here, this is another magic trick that sold. This is like a wallet. I don't even really know how the trick is supposed to work, but it comes with the instructions and everything. Sold that for $50, and again, that was just from a special clean out job that we did. I remember my wife in particular, there was a whole bunch of garbage bags at the side of the house, and this stuff was just getting ready to be thrown into a garbage can, into a dumpster. and she just started ripping through all these garbage bags, pulling stuff out, and I thought she was, I was trying to go after some other stuff. I didn't really think what she was doing was, worth our time that we were spending at that place. But yeah, it's definitely been paying off so far. So kudos to her. All right, next, we got a little hat over here. This is an officer's hat. It is a Royal Canadian Army Service hat. It's from the 1950s. I think we may have picked that up at a thrift shop. And I sold that for $60. Yes, that was a nice sale. So it doesn't, usually it comes with like an emblem there, but I made sure to say that it looks like it had been taken off. It's a nice little sale. Another thing that I sold is this motor here. And that is from a hot water tank. It's the power vent motor. Sold that for $75. And yeah, and I have quite a few motors up for sale right now, and the more that you can get up, the more chances you get for selling stuff. Sold a couple microwave plates. Sold this bigger one, this 13.5 inch for $25. And I sold this smaller one, is a 10 inch. I sold that for $20. So I know a lot of scrappers out there watching the channel, you come across these plates all the time. Don't feel too bad if you don't really want to sell them, because you don't get very much for them. I mean, 25 and 20, but it's something. I mean, if you want to try and sell them, it's a big pain to ship. I'm actually thinking of going and buy like a whole bunch of boxes for this sort of stuff, because you need a right size box for it. Another fun little thing that I like to sell are these little common knobs that you get off of appliances. I think this one was from a washing machine or a dryer. Anyways, sold this for $12.95, $13, and usually sometimes you'll get lucky and they'll have like a little product number or a part number inside there, but this one didn't. So I made sure I wrote down the model number it came from, and then you can look up all the part numbers for that model. You can look it all up online. So that was an easy one. I think I had like 4 of them, and this is my last one. They've all sold. Yeah, this is the last one I have. This guy is this is from like a security panel. And this is a siren. It's like that's like the main, it's like a buzzer. So if the security panel gets tampered with or whatever, this will just sound off and make a big loud sound. So I sold this guy for $25. This came in a whole bunch of stuff at an auction that I went to a couple of years ago. It's actually probably 3 years ago now that I came back from that auction. I'm still selling stuff from it. It was a really good one. But yeah, I barely paid anything for that. So this is just a common general purpose relay switch. I get these all the time. And sold this guy for $20. I think I have another one up. I think I have like a quantity of 2 for this listing, but these things are just always good when I get them. And so whenever I get the same sort of equipment over and over again, so I just pull this out of the furnace right away, and I just revise the listing to put another switch on. Capacitor. So yeah, this one $11.95, $12. I like capacitors because they're pretty easy to sell, pretty easy to ship, but often you don't get very much for them. Next is a helmet. Sold this for $25. It's a nice helmet. Bike. It's a good name. Louis Garneau. Typical bike helmet. Hasn't had it hardly any wear. Very little use. I can't remember where I got this from. Maybe a garage sale or something. You just always want to make sure you put the right size when you're listing it. This guy here is a another one of these printer parallel port things. I got this in my bin, my drop-off bin. I sold this for $20. It's just by itself. Like, I made sure to say I didn't have the AC adapter to go with this. That was it. Oh, there was one other thing. Yeah, it was just this this guy up here. I've had this guy up for a long time. It's giant. It must weigh at least 30 to 40 pounds. This is a vintage 1982 Sony Betamax. I only sold this for $40. It's for parts or repair. I was really disappointed when I found out it had some issues. I got this from a small cleanout job from an elderly lady, and it was like their family Betamax that they were using, and she was just living by herself and she didn't need it anymore, so she gave it to me, and she said it works, it's a good working machine. Unfortunately, when I brought it home, it wasn't the case. It had a couple issues, so I'm happy to see it being sold and not scrapped, because it's just, you know, it's such a neat looking machine. You don't really come across Betamax anymore, these Betamax machines. It's just so heavy. The shipping to ship this anywhere, it's just, I don't know, even trying to package this thing would be a pain. Luckily, it's a local pickup. The guy lives really close by, and he says he has the identical model that he's working on, and he just wants some of the parts from it. So I'm really happy about that. So he paid me $40, and he actually insisted on paying through PayPal. Usually what they do for local pickup is they'll just come by and pay with cash. But he insists on paying with PayPal. So he paid right away, and he says he's going to pick it up in the next couple days. And yeah, if you're doing local pickup, make sure that you include eBay on your transaction, because eBay will monitor all of your messages. I've found that out, that they do look at all your messages, and if they see that you're sharing your address, they'll see what's going on. And so just make sure that what encourage your customer to do is check out the item, check it out without going through the payment process. And so that way eBay will be able to collect their fees. So that's it for that sold for the weekend. Hope you guys had a great weekend. I know I did, with the nice, beautiful weather. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button and like the video if you liked it. And let me know what you think. Leave a comment. Until next time, guys, be safe, and thanks a lot for watching. Have a great day.